Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 9. Thank you for coming on to our 30-day business growth action plan challenge. I am your host, Michelle O'Connor, and today we're going to be talking about how to set those targets. Now, if you own a business, you're a founder or a CEO, and you're looking to grow with more structure, in 2026, this is for you. I've heard the cry, sitting down and doing this for hours. We don't have the time because we're being called into the day-to-day operations of our business. And so I've decided to create this challenge where every day for 30 days, I'm giving you one thing to do on this call. You do it, and in the end, it builds this plan for you that sees your business growing with ease and meeting your targets. So it's not just a document, but it's a document that was created with intention. And over the past few weeks, we've been going through. Last week, we spent some time talking about assessing our current state, looking at where you are, looking at the goals that you want to achieve. And this week, we're talking about, we looked at the goals you wanted to achieve in 2025. How did you perform? What does your environment look like? And this week, we're talking about setting those goals. So I invite you to watch a few of those videos if you can. They are short enough to give you enough information. And as we go through, as I always share, you're joining, please let me know where you're joining from. And if you have any questions throughout, please share those questions. And if you would love to book a call with me, my link is in the comments or the chat. Now, let's jump into business. Today, it's a visual meeting. We're going to be presenting. We're talking about setting targets, and I'm going to be showing you how to set targets. How do you choose your numbers? I just had a consultation with a client, and one of our weekly meetings, and one of the things she was saying is looking at her annual target. It looks so achievable, because what happened for us when we look at the targets by themselves without context is it can feel very scary. But when you have some structure and you know how you're going after it, the things that you're going to do, it doesn't feel so heavy. It's like we say, you're not eating the entire pie at once, you're doing it slice by slice. So let's jump into our discussion for today. And we're talking about setting of targets and how to set targets for your products or services. Now, the first thing you want to do is review your past performance. You want to look at how did I perform over the previous periods. And this is an example. I just chose, we have a performance review document here, a performance, not a full dashboard, but just looking at revenue. How did we perform on these 3 products or services that we offer? You have what you did for Q4, because we're still in, you have your Q4 target. We're still in Q4. So we have October, November, December. Let's look at what we plan to do. You then want to evaluate your external and internal factors. We did some of that last week in our review. I always say to persons, we're not just about gathering data, but we're sharing with you what do you do with the information. And this is now how it comes into play. Let me just stop sharing for a second. Now, if when you reviewed your previous performance, you realize that there were, things that we did that we don't want to do anymore, you have that right here. When we're going to set the target, we're not setting this target for this amount because last year we did it and it did not work. Or our competitors are changing how they're doing things. Their onboarding time is faster than ours, you name it. So therefore, we need to make some changes as we set the target. There's going to be regulatory changes in the environment. As such, we need to be cognizant of that. So when you're setting your targets, those are the things that you're looking for. Thank you so much for coming on. Please let me know where you're joining from. And again, if it is that you missed when we did that session, you can check out we have the replays that you're able to look at. So the first thing you want to do is you want to review your past performance before you set your targets for next year. You want to look back at the review that you did for the external and internal factors. What system challenges do we currently have? What process challenges do we have? Or what do we have that's working for us? So maybe we want to increase a particular target, But yes, we have the system and the process that's working. So let's double that, let's triple that, you name it. So as founders and CEOs, this is important for you to be looking at. And then you also want to set a stretch target, but make it realistic. You don't want to go overboard, but you also don't want to undercut yourself when you're setting your targets. So let's look at a few examples with how we are going to get that done. All right, so we are looking here at, let me just present this. Let me know if you're seeing. You can just drop a 1 in the chat to let me know that you're seeing it. So for this example, this is the past performance. We have product or service 1, 2, or 3. We have the targets and we have the actual. You're able to see your variance, and your variance is subtracting your actual performance from your target. So for product 1, we overachieve, and these are makeup numbers, guys. I'm just showing you how you do this. Product 2 and 3, we see that we're below target. How is this important? This is important because as you look at your previous performance, you know, when you evaluate, say you look at product or service number 2 and you see that we're below by 25,000. If this negative variance is something that is in your control, you may want to set the same target for next year. Or if it's outside of your control and you expect that whatever caused this is going to continue, you may want to think of setting a lower target. That is how you use this information. And we did a review again on that. So next thing you want to do, once you review your targets, the next thing is, let's now set the target for 2026, but you're not setting it blindly. You're adding another column, and you looked at how you performed, and maybe for product or service number 1, even though we did more than actual, we had a corporate client who is going to be leaving, or there was this uptick in the environment, or there was some natural disaster that we benefited from, or we were first movers with a product or service, and so we got, you know, a lot of clients. We don't expect that to continue into 2026. So even though we did 90,000, we're going for 85. That is just an example as to how you assess and analyze the information that you're going to be using to set your actual targets. Product 2, your target was 100, you made 75, you're thinking of 90. Have a conversation about why you're setting that 90. You know, you're not going for the 100, you're not staying low at 75, but you're going up. The same thing I did for the first one. You're having that conversation around your numbers. You would have done the review last week. You would have assessed your environment. You did your SWOT. You look at how you're going to grow. Now you're using it to make decisions. So you decide on what your 2026 targets are going to be. The next thing, so this would have been your annual targets. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to set targets by quarter. Now, when you set your targets for the year, a lot of times what happens for us is we see this large number and it can make us uncomfortable, if we're honest. But when you break it down by quarter, you realize, oh, it's achievable, or it's not that bad. That is the reason you break your targets down by quarter. And then the next thing you do is that you break it down by months. That now gives you a way to see, okay, where do I put my resources? Resources can be time, people, and money. That is what the information is helping you to do. So no, you're not just looking at 90,000, like, oh, no, we're not going to be able to do that. But what if we're able to do 22,000 by quarter? Another thing that I want you to remember as you look at setting targets by quarter is, while I divided this equally across the 4 quarters, you do not have to do that. When you are setting your targets, you want to make sure you're thinking about the seasons of your business. So when you're setting your targets, you want to think about the seasons of your business. So you have an annual target, you divide that by 4 to get your quarterly targets. However, you know what your business is like. You know that maybe in the summer things are slow, or things, you have an uptick, it's your peak season based on the product or service that you offer. What you want to do is increase your target during that time. If you know that a lot of families go off on vacation, you have nothing to do with vacation, the service that you offer, people are not going to be coming in. I am going to reduce my target during that season. It's Christmas season. I get a lot of sales during this time. So I'm going to increase my target. But whatever you do across the 4 quarters, ensure that it adds up to your annual target. Am I making sense here, guys? Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. So that's what you want to do. But divide your target by quarter so you know where you're placing your energy, what resources you need, and at what time. When you do it that way as well, because it gives you a rhythm of your business. You're able to see the season. We talk about tourism. Tourism has peak seasons for tropical islands because a lot of the persons who live in cold countries tend to migrate to those countries. They call them in Florida the winter birds, I think, snowbirds. All right, so that's what you want to think of. What are the seasons of my business, and allocate your targets accordingly. If you have part-time employees, this is a way for you to know, I need to take on additional resources. I need to take on interns. Those are decisions that you make. But again, remember, I'm your numbers girl. You don't make decisions from how you feel. You make it from a very informed place as a founder and a CEO. All right, so let's continue. So once you have documented your annual target, you divide it by 4, or once you divide it by 4, you say no, Q3, you move around your numbers based on your business as I just shared, and then you want to allocate monthly targets. Now you're seeing, oh, all I'm doing is 7,500, but that's doable. 8,000, 4,000, that's doable. Or it may not be doable, but you want to be able to see. So start by the year, then you go by quarter, and then you divide your target by 12 to get months. I just shared, you don't need to have them equally across the quarters, and plan your targets based on the season. And that's the end of day 9. So now this is your homework for today, where you are going to go and agree on your targets. I just shared with you one. And if you watched our KPI video from Monday or Tuesday, you would have realized that we did speak about setting of KPI. So you may have a revenue target, you have your lead indicators, you have your lag indicators, meaning you have how many consultations you need to have booked, how many clients you need to be seeing, how many clients need to book a tour, how many hits to your website, you name it. You want to have that in place. So you set your targets. What are the 3 to 5 KPIs that you're going to be monitoring, and set your targets? And we did KPI dashboard. We did that CEO dashboard yesterday. So you can look at that video to see how to set your dashboard up. I hope this helped. This is a very short homework. You may be thinking about your numbers. Just drop them down, divide them by 4, divide them by 12, and look at where you are. Tomorrow we'll go a little bit more deeper in it, but for now, just go ahead and set your targets. Thank you again for coming on. If you're watching the replay, let me know if this helped, or let me know if there's anything else that you think we should have answered for this particular topic. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 10, and then we'll be halfway through. Not halfway, because we need 15 days, but we'll be 2 weeks in. So looking forward to seeing you. Have a great day. And if you are looking to grow your business as a founder or a CEO, and you would like to connect with me, my information is in the comments, or let me put my email address. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have a question before we go? We were just about wrapping up. Let me know if you have a question. You can always send that to me by email. But let me know if this live helps you, and go ahead and set your targets for this year. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Bye.